What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Listen, I want to share a couple things really quick. I'm gonna wait for one or two people to come in. I know it's middle of the day, but I wanted to share a couple things really quick. For all who are watching this or will watch this, I hope you're having a blessed day. I hope you are okay. I hope you're ready for the new year. I hope you are filled with grace and peace and full of healing. What to do when your relationship or marriage is failing? What should you do when your relationship or your marriage is failing? So let me start by saying this. If your relationship or marriage is failing, I pray that if it is real and if it is something that you want, that this helps you in some type of way. But I also want to encourage you to seek out help. You can go to my website, tryforeverlove.com, TRY, the number 4, everlove.com, or you can go to trm-u.com. Both links are in this post. So you can click one of those links and join or enroll into the Relationship and Marriage University, or you can get individual counseling privately, you and your significant other. Now, let me get right into this because I know it's the middle of the day and not many people might hop on, but they'll watch it later. If your relationship or your marriage is struggling, let me explain this. It's struggling for a reason, okay? But you have to be honest with yourself and assess why it is struggling. Now, it is very rare, very, very rare that if a relationship is struggling, that the two people in it don't know why it's struggling. So let's not play and act like we don't know why the relationship is struggling. We know why our relationships struggle. So we're not going to play games with that. The question is, how real are we going to be with ourselves about the reasons that the relationship is struggling so that we can actually do something about it? So here's what I want to say. When your car breaks down, right? People who are not mechanics, when your car breaks down, one of the first things you think to do is to call someone and ask them, hey, can you take a look at my car? Can you let me know what's going on with my car? So you make that call, and what do? You invite them over, they come over, assess your car, look at your car, and say, hey, it's the battery, or hey, it's the starter, or hey, it's the engine, or hey, it's whatever, right? Well, the reason you called the mechanic over, or the reason you called the person you called over, is because you know that you don't have the ability or the capacity to fix your car issue. Now, common sense tells you if I don't know how to fix my car, then let me call someone to come look at it who knows something about cars. Let me research someone, Google someone, and see, I could look at their reviews or, word of mouth or whatever the case may be to see their credibility. But the point is that if I don't know anything about cars, I need to do what? Have somebody come look at my car to see what's going on. And when they say, "Hey, it looks like it's the engine, the car, the alternator, the rotor belt, or whatever the case may be," now you know I need to go get this fixed professionally so that I can have my car back in my possession so that I can utilize it for my benefit. For example, my garbage disposal was acting up, and I could tell it was pretty much done. I could tell it's pretty much done, right? So I don't know how to fix a garbage disposal. I called one of my I called one of my peoples, and they started explaining to me what I can do. And the whole time I'm like, I ain't doing that. I ain't fitting to make it even worse because I don't know what I'm doing. Even if you tell me, I don't know what I'm doing. So I had to call a professional to come in and fix my garbage disposal because I don't know anything about garbage disposal. And even if I did know something, if I don't know how to really fix it, I'm not going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to almost fix it. I'm going to get it done once and for all. Now, let me stay on topic. Well, that was on topic, so it's right on point. So, again, if your relationship is failing or if your marriage is struggling, then the question becomes, if I don't know how to fix it, why don't I go seek out help to go help fix it? Because if my car is messed up, I'm going to seek out help for my car because I don't know how to fix a car. Let me give you another example. If your toilet breaks and you don't know how to fix it, who are you going to call? You're going to call a plumber. Why? Because plumbers have the expertise or the skill that can help you with your problem. So I hope you're understanding the analogies here. So here's the thing. What do you do when your relationship or your marriage is struggling? What do you do when your relationship or your marriage is failing? Well, if I know my car is failing, then I'm gonna call a mechanic. If I know my toilet is failing, I'm gonna call a plumber. If I know that my instrument is broken, I'm gonna take it to the shop. Like I know from common sense or from just basic knowledge that if something is broke, I need to go somewhere to get help to get it fixed. But the problem is, when it comes to our relationships, we don't use simple logic or common sense. And that's the reason so many relationships are failing. Now, so the first thing you should do when your relationship is failing is to seek help. The first thing you should be doing is seeking help. Now, here's the problem. People want to go to YouTube and get help. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. YouTube helps a lot of people. There's a lot of great information on YouTube. But the problem is, if the information on YouTube is general, or even if it's somewhat specific, it's still not catered to your specific situation. So what you're left to do is take some information that you could apply to your situation and try to fix your situation based on what YouTube has told you. But the problem with that is that when it comes to relationships and marriage, your situation is very, very unique. It is very, very, very different than other people's because the nuances are different, the content is different, the details are different, the dynamics are different. So it would only make sense that instead of going to YouTube or watching social media clips, that you would seek out some level of help or counseling that can directly help you with your specific situation. Because common sense tells us if my car is broke, I'm going to call a mechanic. If my garbage disposal is broke, I'm going to call a plumber. I agree. I even offered that in my previous relationship. He denied. And see now that brings me to another point. Let me speak on that for a second. People have to do a better job of deciding who they're going to do life with. And people have to do a better job of paying attention to the signs in the beginning. Now, in that type of situation, Ms. Williams, right, is being in a relationship with somebody who is not willing to do what it takes to make the relationship work is frustrating and is disappointing. And for people in that situation who isn't married, I would encourage them to simply move on Because to be in a relationship with somebody who isn't willing to fix the problems or the issues, who isn't willing to get the help, who isn't humble enough to seek out help, is not somebody you want to do life with, because that tells me that the moment you have to do anything with them in life, it's going to be a struggle. Amen. Amen. Good for you. Because he is going to be a struggle. Because the reality is, y'all, it does not make sense to be in a relationship with people who just refuse to be willing. Because willingness is one of the greatest qualities you could ever have in a significant other. What I love about my wife is the fact that no matter the situation, no matter the issue, she is always willing. And see, one of the greatest qualities a significant other can have is willingness. Let me break this down. Because if you're in a relationship with somebody who isn't willing, you might as well end it. Because I'm telling you now, to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't have this quality of willingness is problematic. So let me go off subject for a second and deal with this while we're here. Willingness is one of the greatest qualities you could ever have in a significant other or wife. Here's why. Because life is not just a straight line. Life is a straight line. It's crooked roads. It's up and down. It's exits. It's on ramps, off ramps. It's dirt roads. It's backwoods. Marriage, especially. But relationships and marriage is not a straight line. So you need somebody who is flexible, somebody who is willing. Jay, what up, brother? What's going on with you? Good to see you, man. We gotta catch up. To be in a relationship with somebody who does not carry the quality of willingness, you're going to set yourself up for a lot of heartbreak and a lot of disappointment. Because if a person is not willing to turn, to move, to go to take chances, to humble themselves, to put their pride aside, to do things they're not comfortable with, then you're going to be miserable in that relationship. And if you get married, you are going to be stuck and you are going to really be miserable. Because what a lot of people struggle, this is where a lot of people go wrong. They go wrong at this very point. They stay long enough knowing they shouldn't stay in a relationship, but they stay long enough to get snatched up. They stay long enough in the relationship to get caught up in feelings. And then once they get caught up in feelings, they try to deal with all of the foolishness, the drama, the problems, and the issues. And they try to talk themselves into saying, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. And then they get married, and then they realize, oh, this person ain't getting better. So again, the number one quality that you need to have in a significant other is willingness. Because willingness lets you know that they are not just a straight line person. They're willing to go through the mud, get off the exit, to change course, to make a left, to make a U-turn, to do whatever it takes to make sure that you and them are on the same page so that you can have a fruitful, productive relationship. I love my wife because she's willing. She don't always like what we do. She don't always agree with what we do, but she is willing. Same thing with me. I don't always want to do what she want to do. I don't always like her ideas and vice versa. But we both are willing to do what it takes to make it work. We're both willing to make changes. We're both willing to get help. We're both willing to humble ourselves. If you are not willing, you should be single because you are going to be a problem. So again, we're dealing with the very issue of the fact that if you're in a relationship or marriage and it's struggling, it's probably struggling because you're with somebody who isn't willing. They're not willing to get help, not willing to seek out counsel, not willing to humble themselves, not willing to drop their pride, not willing to change, not willing to grow, not willing to be accountable, not willing to take responsibility, just not willing to do anything, just nothing. And I am personally tired of seeing people struggle relationally when they don't have to. So part of my work is to help people who are single make better decisions in their dating life so that they can choose right, so that they can have the marriage that they desire happily ever after. And then my other side of my work is that people who are already married, who might have made bad decisions, help them to change the course of their own selves, their character, their intentions, their heart, their mentalities, their thinking, their behavior, etc., so that they can have the marriage they thought they were going to have when they got into it. And that is my work. That is what I aim to do. Because believe it or not, it's not just women struggling to find good men. It is also men struggling to find good women. So let's get that lie off of the table right now. It's not just women struggling to find good, godly husbands. It is also men struggling to find good, godly wives. And we have an issue in our communities because so many people are saying the wrong things, preaching the wrong things, teaching the wrong things on podcasts, saying ignorant stuff for views and clicks, and people who are gullible are eating it up. And we have to do something about it. So, Ms. Williams, if you go to www.trm-u.com, go to www.trm-u.com, and you'll be able to enroll in the Relationship and Marriage University because most of that class is for singles. But let me get back on track. See, the problem is, I want to reiterate this. If you're with somebody who is not willing, you are going to struggle in your relationship and you are going to be miserable. You are going to be frustrated. You're going to be disappointed. And the problem with a lot of our community, once again, is that they're with somebody who isn't willing, not willing to change, not willing to grow, not willing to sacrifice, not willing to give, not willing to love, not willing to respect, not willing to humble themselves, change, not willing to grow, not willing to sacrifice. Not, I might be saying the same things over and over and over again, but I'm trying to get my point across. They're just not willing. They're not willing to get help. Not willingness is one of the greatest qualities in a significant other. Are you willing to let go of your attitude? Are you willing to let go of your pride? Are you willing to let go of your ways? Are you willing to change? Are you willing? I know that's not why I got on here, but somebody asked a question and it took me that road. But willingness is one of the greatest qualities of all time. I love my wife because she's willing. It's one of her greatest qualities. She don't even gotta want to do it, and she's willing to ride. And I love it about her. And it has got us this far. One of the issues I find when with my clients or with anybody that I help relationally is they're trying to fix a problem that they don't have any control over with the other person. And what I mean by that is they identify a problem in their significant other. Willing to lay the smack down. Appreciate you, appreciate you, Apostle J. Appreciate that. Bless you, man. Bless you right back. Listen, one of Devin, what's going on, brother? One of the greatest issues that I find with my clients or with anybody I'm trying to help relationally is they spot an issue in their significant other, and because they don't have control over what that person does, they get frustrated and they try to do everything they can to get that person to change. Appreciate you, Devin. And I try to, and this is what I try to explain to people. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you can't change anybody. Only God can do that. And God can't even change somebody unless that person starts cooperating. Here it is, and becoming willing to participate in the change. So if God can't even change somebody without their participation and willingness or their free will, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you are never going to change anybody. So all of my single people, before you go and trying to change somebody and then marry them, understand this: you ain't changing nobody. So who they are now is who they're going to be when you marry them. And there's no guarantee that they're going to get better. And there's no guarantee that they won't, but the problem is there's still no guarantee either way. So you taking a heavy risk. Source of authority. There we go, Devin. Proud brother of the Relationship and Marriage University classes. Appreciate you, man. You bringing out the information. Listen, let me do a plug real quick. I want to tell everybody, if you want more relationship education, go to one of my websites. Go to www.tryforeverlove.com. That's TRY, the number 4, everlove.com. Or go to www.trm-u.com. Both links are in this post. Listen, I'm on a mission to transform our communities by transforming and healing the family dynamic. So again, my work is to make sure that single people are healthy and getting the right relational education so that when they get in a relationship, that it is a productive and healthy and fruitful relationship and eventual marriage. And my work for married people is to help them sort out the issues, get rid of the fat, leave the meat, get rid of the bone, and heal within the construct of their marriage by focusing on the individuals changing the issues that are problematic. Because again, you can't change anybody. But if your marriage or relationship is struggling, let me go back to a point I was talking about earlier. When your car breaks down, you call a mechanic. When your toilet breaks, you call a plumber. If you break a bone, you go to a doctor. If your TV breaks, you take it to Best Buy. If your Apple MacBook breaks, you take it to Apple. If your iPhone stopped working, you take it to the phone shop. See, the thing is, common sense tells us that anything that breaks in our life or isn't working properly, there's somewhere we can take it so that we can fix it so that it can begin to work properly and benefit us again. But for some strange reason, when it comes to our relationships and our marriage, we don't take it anywhere because we're so busy trying to be private and secretive that we don't seek out the help necessary with a professional so that you can get the relationship back that you should and need and should have so that you can be productive. Because I'll tell you this one thing, when your relationship is trash and your marriage is struggling, you ain't gonna be as productive as you could be because you're so busy being sad, frustrated, disappointed, sad, upset, mental fog, all types of stuff because you're so busy focusing on the fact that life at home is going really bad. So here's what I want to employ everybody. You don't got to get help from me. But if you want to, you can go to www.tryforeverlove.com here for all your relationship needs. TRY, the number 4, everlove.com. Or you can go to trm-u.com. We got your back. But if it ain't us, go somewhere. The problem and the point that I'm really talking about is if you do nothing, then you really don't want your relationship to work. If you do nothing, then you really don't want your marriage to work. And if you're with somebody who isn't doing anything or won't do anything, they don't really want your marriage or relationship to work. If you do nothing, you don't want it to work. Bottom line. People ask me relationship questions, and even though listen, there is not a relationship question that I cannot answer. I'm that confident in what I do. There is not a marriage question that I cannot answer. There is not a relationship problem or marriage problem that I cannot solve. I'm that confident in what I do. I'm that good at what I do. But here's what I try to explain to people. Everything actually boils down to very simple, basic, fundamental things. And I try to explain to people, the question you're asking me is, when people ask me questions, I often explain to them, you're asking the wrong questions. I can answer that. I can answer that, but you're actually not answering, you're not asking the right question. And oftentimes I have to help people figure out the question they really need to ask so that they can understand why they need to ask that question. So then they can get an answer that can really benefit them and their situation. Appreciate you, Pastor Maurice. Appreciate you. Listen, people ask me relationship questions, and I try to explain to them because typically when people ask me a question, they're asking me a question that has to do with the other person. And I always tell people, in this moment, I'm not talking to them, I'm talking to you. And so I can only go off what you're telling me. And I can do that. But while I have you in front of me, let me ask you about you. Because if your marriage is struggling and your relationship is struggling, you have a part in it. And I know it feels like it's the other person. I know it does. Because typically 90% of people who come to me really believe that the other person is the problem. And the truth is, the other person is part of the problem. But the other part of the truth is, you part of the problem too. Which brings me full circle back to my original point. If your car is broke, you go to a mechanic. If your toilet is broke, you go get a plumber. If your iPhone breaks, you go to Apple. So where do you go when your relationship or your marriage is broken? Well, you can go to tryforeverlove.com here for all your relationship needs. Go to www.tryforeverlove.com, TRY the number 4 everlove.com, or go somewhere that you're confident that they can help you. The point is, if you do nothing, you really don't care about your relationship. If you do nothing, you really don't care about your marriage. And if you're with somebody who's not willing to walk with you to get the help, then you're in a bigger problem. And you should see somebody one-on-one to figure out how to navigate that. I've had people come to me who had unwilling partners. And then through strategy, we were able to get them on board eventually. But it started with the one who was willing first. So sometimes you have to do it on your own first and then let the other person catch up. And then there's times where we start with the one person and the other person never comes around. But that's life. But you'll never know until you do something first. So listen, last thing, to all my people in relationships and marriage, we're having a trust building and communication workshop January the 20th, 2024. Make sure you go register at my website, tryforeverlove.com. Listen, if you register, I promise you, you're going to build trust back in your relationship, and your marriage is going to be a great thing. I wasn't supposed to be on here this long, but I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank y'all. Love y'all. See y'all soon.